From the outside, these hay balers look like engineering masterpieces. They produced dense, perfectly tied bales, introduced innovative features, and impressed farmers with their performance. But behind that brilliance was a different story. Machines so mechanically complex that even experienced operators dreaded repairing them. Today, we're counting down 10 hay balers that pushed technology forward, yet became infamous for turning routine maintenance into a true test of patience. New Holland Super Hayliner 78. New Holland Super Hayliner 78 set a benchmark for small square balers between 1957 and 1961. Built to produce consistent 16x 18-inch bales with an adjustable length from 12 to 52 inches, it handled different crops with ease. Its 56-inch pickup fed material through the flow action system, where lightweight aluminum feeder tines moved hay smoothly into the bale chamber to reduce plugging. Power came from a tractor PTO or an optional Wisconsin VF4 or THD gasoline engine, while the piston ran at about 60 to 61 strokes per minute. At its core was the legendary New Holland knotter, tying twine or wire with impressive consistency through an open, self-cleaning design. Layered shear bolts protected the driveline from overloads, and a mechanical needle safety latch prevented costly piston strikes if timing slipped. Heavy steel construction, oil-bathed gears, and a fully mechanical layout eliminated electronic failures, giving the baler outstanding durability in harsh field conditions. Even so, preserving that legendary performance demanded precise timing, careful knotter calibration, and meticulous servicing, making the Super Hayliner 78 brilliant in operation, but surprisingly difficult to maintain when adjustments or repairs became necessary. Precise timing was essential for dependable baling. John Deere 14T. John Deere 14T became one of the company's greatest hay equipment successes after its introduction in 1954, remaining in production until 1961. More than 100,000 units were built, making it one of the best-selling small square balers of its era. When new, depending on configuration and options, it typically sold for around $1,700 to $2,200 USD, an attractive price for farms seeking dependable PTO-powered baling. The machine produced compact 14x 18-inch bales with adjustable lengths from 12 to 50 inches, while operating at up to 65 loaded plunger strokes per minute. A 53-inch pickup efficiently gathered windrows, and the baler required only a 20 to 30 horsepower tractor, allowing smaller farms to mechanize hay production economically. Its auger and fork feeding system delivered crop evenly into the bale chamber without relying on fragile belts or complicated conveyors. An enclosed oil-filled gearbox protected the main drive gears from dust, moisture, and abrasive debris, greatly extending service life. Dual automatic twine knotters handled continuous tying, while a needle brake and sacrificial shear pin safeguarded expensive internal components if timing was interrupted. The heavy channel steel frame absorbed constant plunger impacts with remarkable rigidity, allowing countless machines to remain operational decades later. However, keeping every linkage, knotter, and timing adjustment perfectly synchronized demanded patience, making the 14T exceptionally reliable in the field, but notoriously challenging to maintain at peak performance. International Harvester 46. International Harvester's McCormick No. 46 arrived in 1957 as the long-awaited replacement for the troublesome No. 45, restoring confidence in the company's small square baler lineup through the early 1960s. Although exact production records were never officially released, historians estimate that well over 50,000 units were built during its production run. A new IH-46 generally sold for approximately $1,900 to $2,500 USD, depending on whether buyers selected the twine or wire tie version and optional Wisconsin gasoline engine. Built around a 14x 18-inch bale chamber, the baler operated at an impressive 68 to 75 plunger strokes per minute, noticeably faster than many competitors. Its 52 to 54-inch pickup combined a large auger with heavy-duty packer fingers to move dense windrows efficiently into the compression chamber while maintaining a steady crop flow. Buyers could choose either the 46T twine knotter or the 46W wire tying system, allowing the machine to match different farming operations. Triple shear bolt protection at the flywheel, needles, and packer mechanism prevented major drivetrain failures during overloads, while the enclosed oil bath gearbox and exceptionally heavy steel frame delivered remarkable structural durability. However, the baler's unique knotting design depended on extremely accurate twine tension, sharp knives, and perfectly synchronized adjustments, making the IH-46 highly productive in the field, but surprisingly demanding whenever maintenance or precise mechanical tuning became necessary. Massey Ferguson 124. The Massey Ferguson 124 emerged in 1974 as one of the company's most successful small square balers, combining higher operating speeds with dependable mechanical engineering. Production continued into the early 1980s, with well over 70,000 units estimated to have been sold worldwide. Depending on equipment and market, a new MF-124 typically retailed for around $4,500 to $6,000 USD, reflecting its premium position among square balers of the era. Built around a standard 14x 18-inch bale chamber, it featured a wide 56-inch pickup and required a tractor producing at least 35 PTO horsepower. Its plunger operated at an impressive 80 strokes per minute, delivering high output without sacrificing bale consistency. The sure-feed parallel feeder system transferred hay smoothly into the chamber, while the hardened German-built Raspe twin knotters maintained reliable twine tying even under heavy workloads. Large roller-mounted plunger bearings dramatically reduced friction and wear compared with traditional sliding designs, improving efficiency and extending service life. A three-stage protection system, including flywheel shear bolts, dedicated knotter protection, and an automatic needle guard, shielded critical components from overload damage. Centralized grease banks and an oil bath gearbox simplified lubrication, yet maintaining flawless timing between the feeder, plunger, and knotters required exceptional precision, making the MF-124 remarkably productive, but surprisingly demanding whenever major servicing or adjustments became necessary. New Holland 275. The New Holland 275 built upon decades of Hayliner experience to become one of the brand's most capable small square balers for medium and large farming operations. Across its classic production years and the later Hayliner 275 Plus generation, well over 80,000 units have been sold worldwide. Depending on model year and specifications, the machine has typically carried a price ranging from about $8,500 for earlier versions to over $22,000 USD for modern 275 Plus models. Its standard 14x 18-inch bale chamber produced adjustable bale lengths from 12 to 52 inches, while the wide 75-inch super sweep pickup efficiently gathered heavy windrows. Operating at approximately 75 to 79 plunger strokes per minute, the baler required tractors delivering up to 75 PTO horsepower for maximum productivity. 6 hardened hay dogs stabilized each compressed bale before the next charge entered the chamber, reducing recoil forces on the crankshaft and driveline. A heavy-duty split-frame knotter simplified maintenance while delivering dependable twine tying under continuous workloads. Protection came from a layered mechanical system, combining a slip clutch, flywheel shear bolt, and automatic needle latch to prevent catastrophic damage during overloads. On the 275 Plus, hardened plunger rails and reinforced bale chamber components further improved structural longevity. Yet maintaining peak performance still required meticulous timing, knotter calibration, and periodic wear adjustments, making the New Holland 275 exceptionally productive, but far more complex to service than its rugged appearance suggested. Case IH-8520. The Case IH-8520 introduced a completely different approach to small square baling during the late 1980s, using Hesston's innovative inline design to improve crop flow and reliability. Built through the late 1990s, the model is estimated to have sold more than 30,000 units worldwide, becoming one of the most successful inline square balers of its generation. Depending on equipment and hydraulic options, a new Case IH-8520 typically retailed for approximately $11,000 to $16,000 USD. The baler featured a standard 14x18-inch bale chamber, a 60-inch pickup with wind guard, and a synchronized stuffer fork that delivered hay directly from beneath into the compression chamber. Operating at 79 plunger strokes per minute, it required only 45 to 62 PTO horsepower while producing dense, uniform bales throughout long working days. Unlike conventional side-feed balers, the inline layout eliminated right-angle driveline gearboxes, reducing mechanical complexity and power losses. Heavy-duty twin twine knotters were mounted above the bale chamber, where less dust accumulated, improving tying consistency. Separate shear bolts protected both the flywheel and stuffer assembly, while optional hydraulic bale density adjustment allowed operators to fine-tune compression from the tractor. Even with its simplified driveline, precise synchronization between the stuffer fork, plunger, and knotters remained essential, making the 8520 exceptionally dependable in daily operation, but surprisingly demanding whenever major adjustments or timing repairs became necessary. Hesston 4600. Hesston's 4600 B-line transformed the small square baler market when it appeared in the late 1970s, introducing the inline layout that later influenced numerous competitors. Throughout its production life, more than 40,000 units are estimated to have been sold worldwide, proving the concept's commercial success. Depending on options and regional markets, a new Hesston 4600 typically sold for approximately $12,000 to $17,000 USD. The baler featured a standard 14x18-inch bale chamber with adjustable bale lengths from 12 to 52 inches and a wide 72-inch maxi sweep pickup that efficiently handled large windrows. Its plunger operated at an impressive 92 strokes per minute, while a 540 RPM PTO equipped with a slip clutch ensured smooth power delivery. Instead of feeding hay from the side, the patented inline configuration directed crop through a pre-compression chamber before the stuffer delivered a uniform charge into the bale chamber, producing exceptionally consistent bale density. Heavy-duty sealed roller bearings supported the plunger, minimizing friction and reducing routine adjustment requirements. Twin Hesston knotters accepted either twine or wire, while strategically placed shear bolts protected the flywheel, stuffer, and knotter systems from overload damage. Despite its streamlined driveline, accurate synchronization between the pre-charge chamber, stuffer fork, plunger, and knotters remained critical, making the 4600 extraordinarily reliable in the field, but surprisingly intricate whenever major maintenance or timing adjustments became necessary. Oliver 720. The Oliver 720 earned a reputation as one of the toughest small square balers of the late 1950s and early 1960s. Built with an uncompromising focus on strength rather than lightweight construction. Although Oliver never released official production totals, collectors and historians estimate that more than 25,000 units were manufactured before production ended. When introduced, the Oliver 720 typically sold for around $2,300 to $2,900 USD, depending on whether buyers selected PTO drive or the optional Wisconsin auxiliary engine. The machine produced standard 14x 18-inch square bales and featured a generous 61-inch pickup capable of handling wide, heavy windrows. Operating at approximately 65 to 70 plunger strokes per minute, it relied on the distinctive Roto-Flow rotary feeding system, which delivered crop into the bale chamber through continuous circular motion instead of abrupt reciprocating movements. A massive cast-iron flywheel stored substantial rotational energy, helping the baler maintain smooth operation through dense or damp hay without excessive shock loads. Buyers could choose either twin twine knotters or a wire tying system, while the hardened plunger knife ensured clean crop cutting and reduced resistance during compression. Reinforced box section steel framing absorbed years of vibration with exceptional rigidity. However, preserving the baler's legendary durability required careful adjustment of the roto-flow timing, knotters, and plunger clearances, making the Oliver 720 remarkably dependable in heavy fieldwork, but increasingly demanding whenever precision maintenance became necessary. Allis-Chalmers 444. Allis-Chalmers introduced the 444 as its flagship small square baler in the late 1960s, aiming directly at the industry's best-selling models with greater capacity and stronger construction. Production continued through much of the 1970s, and agricultural historians estimate that more than 35,000 units were sold across North America and export markets. Depending on configuration and regional pricing, a new Allis-Chalmers 444 typically retailed for approximately $4,000 to $5,500 USD. The machine produced standard 14x 18-inch bales with adjustable lengths from 12 to 48 inches, while using a wide 64-inch pickup to collect heavy windrows efficiently. Operating at an impressive 80 plunger strokes per minute, it required only a 35 to 50 horsepower PTO tractor to maintain high productivity. Its synchronized twin-prong feed fork delivered crop smoothly into the bale chamber, while heavy-duty roller-supported plunger bearings minimized friction and wear during continuous operation. Buyers could choose either twine or wire tying systems, both supported by a rugged cast knotter assembly designed for consistent performance in dusty conditions. A slip clutch, flywheel shear bolt, and mechanical needle safety latch formed a layered protection system that prevented costly failures during overloads. Despite its exceptional structural strength and enclosed oil bath gearbox, achieving peak efficiency still demanded precise synchronization between the feeder, plunger, and knotters, making the AC 444 remarkably durable, yet surprisingly labor-intensive whenever detailed servicing or timing adjustments were required. Freeman 330. Designed for commercial hay producers rather than small family farms, the Freeman 330 established itself as one of the toughest three-tie square balers ever built. Introduced during the 1970s and refined for decades afterward, the model is estimated to have sold more than 15,000 units, a remarkable figure for such a specialized heavy-duty machine. Depending on configuration, buyers typically paid between $25,000 and $40,000 USD for a new pull-type version, while self-propelled models commanded substantially higher prices. Built around a massive 15x22 or optional 16x 22-inch bale chamber, the Freeman 330 produced dense commercial bale secured with 3 twine ties or heavy wire. Operating at 84 to 90 plunger strokes per minute, it relied on a huge 420-pound flywheel, spinning at approximately 600 RPM to maintain smooth, uninterrupted compression through demanding windrows. Side feed crop delivery worked alongside an exceptionally robust plunger weighing nearly 300 pounds, while oversized bull gears transferred power with minimal vibration. Industrial-grade knotters, standardized bearings, chains, and seals simplified long-term parts replacement, and the machine's reinforced steel frame resisted deformation even under continuous commercial workloads. However, extracting maximum performance required meticulous synchronization of the feed system, plunger, and 3-tie knotters, making the Freeman 330 legendary for endurance, yet surprisingly time-consuming whenever major maintenance or precision timing adjustments became necessary. Some of these balers were decades ahead of their time, proving that innovation doesn't always guarantee simplicity. While they delivered excellent performance in the field, keeping them running often required expert knowledge, rare parts, and endless hours in the workshop. Which of these machines surprised you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more incredible stories from the history of agricultural machinery.